With last week's Galactic qualifiers past us, we see some players focusing on their Trilogy game.
We look at the archetypes that made Final Table at the South by Southwest Galactic qualifiers and discuss how you can start to think about deck building in this format.
We also look at Into the Garbage Chute, an event that has seen some amazing plays over the last few weeks.
This is episode 80, The Rise of the Trilogy Meta.
You have been well trained.
You don't have to carry a sword to be powerful.
I won't fail you.
Or do not.
I'm not afraid.
Please don't try.
All right, what's new with you in Destiny, Jason?
Oh, me and Destiny. I was
Yeah, you go first.
Yeah.
Me? Oh, gosh. Shoot, everything I've been doing over the last week has been all chance cube driven. There's a ton of stuff happening over here. We're really excited. I know Diso has been doing a lot of work, bringing a lot of new content to the channel. If you guys haven't visited our YouTube channel recently, you noticed we've got 2 new series running over there. We've got Dissect the Deck, where we're looking at some of the best meta decks out there and how to play them and how to play against them. It's taking some players who may not be as familiar with the decks, but taking those lists and talking about the decisions they're making, what those games look like, give you a little heads up on the meta game. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we're looking at Cannon Fodder, which is taking a couple of themed decks, recreating some of the, I should say, recreating, using air quotes, some of the major battles in Star Wars canon. So I know their first episode focused on the Battle of Geonosis, which pitted Yoda and 2 Rebel troopers against, I think it was just 5 battle droids.
It was 5 battle droids, yeah.
So, super
that is
fun.
100% a Nate deck right there.
Right, so I know Nate and Matt and Seth are really enjoying that series there, and Mike's got some doing some really early work on some new Twitch shows for everybody. So we're hoping in the next month or 2 we're going to have some more Twitch content aside from this silly thing that we do every week.
Yeah.
But they just want to come watch us anyway. So
stop fooling yourself, Kim.
Right, I don't know. I think people want to see other shows too.
Okay, fine. I'll live in my own little.
Why don't you tell us?
imagination.
Why don't you tell us over in the chat if you want to see other shows, or if you're watching this on YouTube, down in the comments below, or if you are listening to this on a podcast, in the comments of the podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Come
let
over
us
and
know.
comment on Facebook or.
For sure. And I know we've gotten a lot of comments over on our webpage about the various shows we're doing. Everything from thanks for putting out more videos to hey, your podcast is since it went live, is a little hard to listen to. So we're doing our best to work out some of those kinks. Still pretty new at this live thing, so we're really excited to be chatting with you on the chat. And if you're listening to this after the fact, please give us more and more feedback. We're just trying to better ourselves. And I guess the last thing was we've all kind of focused on Worlds. Worlds is the talk of the town as far as planning and all the different groups trying to get up there. So hopefully we're going to have something dropping in the next week that's going to talk a little bit more about what we're hoping to do at Worlds.
Ooh.
I know.
Foreshadowing.
So,
A little bit.
Of course, that's enough of what's going on here, because that's pretty much all. Like, that's me and Destiny is the chance cube, and I'm super happy we've made such progress we had, and still keep going forward. But Kim, you weren't here last week.
I wasn't.
I mean, you were here in spirit and in the chat, but you were not physically here.
I was causing some mischief in the chat, but that's because otherwise, like I said, there would have been tissues. It was not pretty last week here at the Breeze house, so there was no Destiny happening, just a lot of coughing and hacking and sneezing, and Jim and I both had it, so we were match set around here. But the week before that, so what I didn't get to update you guys on was some friends of ours and Jim and I did a draft 2 Sundays ago now, I guess. They were tired of my whining that I wanted to draft again, so we all just went in. There were 5 of us. So the Kin, Jim, and myself, Jonathan, who's one of our Patreons, and our buddy Rob. And we all just went in and bought a box. So we did the normal 6 packs, and then we kept a 7th. Just we bent the rules. So kill us. It was our own thing. So then we kept one. So 6 went into the everybody can draft one, and number 7 you got to keep as your own and do whatever. So that's how we bent the rules a little bit.
Nice.
So what was crazy though is we went through the entire draft, so everything but the 7 that we had, and I think we only had maybe 2 or 3 of the legendaries out. So we're like sweet. So we didn't have to share a lot of those. I ended up with an Afra, so now I got 2.
Nice.
That was my unopened pack that I didn't have to share with anybody. And I ended up playing Rainbow. Mother Talzin, so I was able to draft her. And I didn't have one of those, so I was pretty stoked. That was a win-win. And God, her ability's fun to play now that I got a chance to play her.
Yes, it is.
And then I had a Clone Trooper. And then I did... oh, God. Who else is in the stupid... I just drew a blank. Apparently, I am still medicated. There's Lobot, Anakin. Who else? Ketsu.
Anya.
Ketsu is who else I had. So I rainbowed that. And I was feeling pretty good about it. And then I went 0-4. So that still stink. But I got some great cards out of it. But it was fun. So I hope if they're listening that we do that again soon, because that was a good time.
Nice.
Yeah. Draft is always a good time.
Draft is so much fun.
Sometimes it can feel long. It's hard to do a draft on those evening game nights. Because you don't get a whole lot of games in.
That's
you end up spending a lot of time drafting the cards and building the decks.
Yeah, we did this on like a Sunday afternoon when everybody had time. So that was kind of... And you're right. Nice. You spend a lot of time opening the packs and picking the cards. And but it was fun. So I hope we get to do it again. And that's how I'm like filling some of my small little parts of my collection.
Very cool.
Nice.
What else about you, Mr. Bill?
Okay, so a new town means a new home store. And yeah. And it's far enough away to where I'm gonna need a new hometown store or new home store. And the closest store is 2.5 miles away. I played
that's dangerously close.
Was it a regionals? I played a store championship there this last season. It's Mythic Games in Santa Cruz, and it's about 2.5 miles from my house. So I'm in the works right now, trying to work some stuff out for community building. I want to maybe get a league together or something like that. So if you live in the Santa Cruz area, look out for that. And if you know of any other shops that play Destiny in the Santa Cruz area, please let me know so we can get all the shops involved.
That's cool, man.
Other than that, this week has been a ton of packing. Actually, the art behind me here, I took back out to put up just for the show. And then I'm going to break it all back down and then
that's
pack.
Dedication.
All this stuff is going to get put away. My computer is going to be completely dismantled and loaded up tonight, and we'll be moving to the new house. So
cool.
Next time you see this show, it'll be in my all-new studio, so I hope it'll look super awesome. Yeah, I'm excited.
Kim, you and I should change locations, too, next week.
I can just move to the other side of the room. That's about all.
You should, and then you just tell people you moved.
Well, the walls look the same. Like, we got this crummy paneling that we need to paint at some point. Maybe we'll do that sometime in the spring. I'll paint this little... It'll be just this corner of the room that I get painted. But Mike, 2.5 miles, that's like warm-up run for you. That's dangerously close.
Yeah. I'll be there hopefully pretty often. I want to be able to play there at least 2 nights a week. So that's
nice.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
I'm a little jealous. Like, it's about it's at least a half. It's not a 2.5 mile. It's about a half-hour drive.
Yeah.
To our
my old home store was about 15 minutes to one or 30 minutes to the other one.
Man.
So it's
definitely it's too close for me and things I'll spend money on. Board games and Destiny.
Yeah.
Probably good that there's some distance. My checkbook is probably happy that there's some distance.
Man. All right. Well, of course, we're happy to be here live talking to all y'all out there on the Twitch sphere. If you're listening to this show after the fact, you're always welcome to join us live on Twitch on Tuesdays at 9 p.m.
Come hang out.
Come hang out with us. Chat, ask us questions. Anybody who's currently here, feel free to drop any questions in the chat. We'll be happy to answer them at the end of the show. And let's just jump right into all the happenings.
Happenings?
What's that again?
All right, over
what's the news?
The news.
Let me take that back, huh? You'll find what you need.
News time.
Yeah, so we at the beginning of the regional season, we were very, very good about getting the top 4, top 8 decks for every event that happened. It was populating all the Facebook groups, all the Discord channels, all the message boards, and it's slowly become who was the winner. Like, people aren't posting those top 8 decks anymore. Not for all the games. Sometimes we're getting there, but a lot of people are just seeing what's at the top. We know what the assortment of the meta looks like these days, and it continues to shift and change. But we have 9 different events that happened last weekend that we know of the top deck from the event. Yeah, and it's amazing that they were from all over: Denmark, Germany, South Africa, Sweden, London, and then 4 here in the States, and Maryland, Arizona, Washington, and Colorado, which was won by Michael, who was he was on the show for the Half-Life. Extra Life. I keep saying Half-Life. The Extra Life event.
That's a different thing.
Yeah, not Half-Life.
He took Colorado with Swamp Thing, which
very cool.
I'm sure Matt was very ecstatic. Absolutely. And then the Canadian Nationals were this past weekend too, right?
They were.
Head is spinning.
No, the Canadian Nationals were this weekend. It was
Sunday, which made it a little bit hard. That's a hard day to do something like that too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my lazy day. And but I'm thinking, a whole day of desk. That's just a lot, and then you gotta get him go to work the next day. Most people do. Not everybody has a Monday through Friday job, but
yeah, not everybody, unfortunately.
Is it interesting that the Canadian Nationals were? So I feel like they were early.
Well, they didn't have their prize kit yet.
I don't know. I feel like
I did see that.
That's rough.
They just had some nationals
Yeah, I feel like theirs were towards the end of last season, but then it was early. Yeah, you're right. I feel like that's
we don't get our nationals this year until Nova, which is all late August.
Almost late August.
Yeah. Canadian Nationals, there were 73 players, and the winner of that was Qui-Gon Yoda, which is the first time we've seen that deck at such a high level, I think. I'm sure we've seen it before, but
I'm trying to think if it was some of those early winners, like early meta winners. I feel like Qui-Gon made a showing somewhere, and I don't recall where. Somebody will remind me, but
Qui-Gon's always kind of popped in and out with those shield decks, but for him to show up here in the Legacies era, paired up with Yoda, I think that's interesting. Mono blue, which may, this is now that the meta is shifting every week. It's very interesting to see players bring decks that try to fluctuate with the meta. So I would not be surprised with Sabine Ezra, with of course Yoda, Qui-Gon, Rey Ayla, which has been showing up a lot this weekend. If people start bringing Kylo 2 back out,
I'm sure. I think he's coming.
His mark way easier.
Where did I saw a Kylo Mother deck being discussed this week, and that actually sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it does. I just don't think it has enough. I don't think it can be quick enough, but it definitely has the control that it needs.
Yeah. Well, those two abilities of those two characters is pretty interesting.
Right.
I think combined together.
Yeah. Well, it's they're kind of meant to go together because they do have a synergy in the control factor. But maybe you need to almost pair it with a third person.
Drop 1-to-1 die
to give it some bang. But I don't know. Might have to play it and see how. I
thought about it.
No, it definitely looks like a deck that could get there. It's on control alone, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's and I think we've also seen Anakin from the rival sets make his way to the top this week over in Lincoln United Kingdom.
He finally got there.
Paired up with Kylo from the 2-player set.
Yeah, I felt that he was that was another one that everybody talked about when it was being released. And there were all these deck ideas, and then we mentioned it on the show, and I had one person send me an Anakin deck, and it was I liked it. I believe it was Mike. Now I'm forgetting who it was. I still have it saved because I thought that was a very interesting pairing. And I just kept thinking it's gonna show up, and it finally is. I just wonder if we'll see more of it now.
For sure.
Well, once they show up, you'll see them for a little while.
Everybody goes
making their rounds for a while.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I think with the announcement of Way of the Force last week, it's going to be probably several weeks before we see any more really significant Destiny news on the new set front. We'll continue to follow regionals. I think there's a few more weeks left in the season, if I'm not mistaken.
At least I think it runs through the end of the month. I don't recall that there were any in April. I could be wrong.
Sounds about right.
And you, mister, I can't believe you threw away that piece of paper. That said, when I said I was betting that the announcement was going to be, and I was so sure that I was really close, and then you go, I threw it away.
Oh, he's gonna find it.
It's not in my trash can. I'm sorry. I don't know where it is.
Now I got to go back, or maybe somebody can remember it. I got to go back and find the show and see what I said, because I think I was really close.
You were, yeah. I think you were.
I think it'll be like 2-3 more weeks, and then they'll do another spoiler. We'll get another one of those articles.
Yeah, and then
because
they'll start dropping them every week.
They did them pretty close together with. I'm starting to forget what set that I'm in. Holy cannoli with Legacies.
Mm-hmm.
Way of the Force still doesn't roll off the tongue really well yet.
It does not.
Way of the.
You just call it waff.
Waffle, waffle, waffle.
Or woof.
Woof. I can get behind woof.
Especially
if there's a wolf in there.
Well, if we're talking about predictions, I would not be surprised if Way of the Force, there was an early wave released just for Worlds, and we draft with it at Worlds.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making a prediction now. That's my new prediction.
New prediction? Write it down on a piece of paper.
And then throw it away.
Oh,
thanks.
A burn.
Next time I'm writing it down, I'm going to slap it up back here and put it in the Death Star.
Should have wrote it on the whiteboard.
Yeah, the empty whiteboard that I never use.
Except to say, help me.
You don't tell people that. You tell people that you have secret stuff on it you have to erase every single time.
That's right.
Yeah.
Take a picture and erase them.
Or it's secret ink that you can't see on camera.
All right. So before we jump into our card dissection for the episode, just as a reminder to everyone, if you head over to Inked Gaming and want to make your own custom playmats, sleeves, and other such custom type things, or buy one of their things that they already have made that you can purchase, including our 2-player Galactic Conflict playmat.
It's right here. You can't see it, but it's right here on my table.
You can get 12% off your entire order with the promotional code ChanceKeep12. And that's it. ChanceKeep12.
Nice.
I'm going to challenge everyone. I want to see what cool stuff you're getting from Inked Gaming. So go use it and then send us a picture.
Yeah.
Because, man, people have had some cool ideas for mats and stuff, and I just like seeing what other people do.
Absolutely. So let's jump into our card dissection for the week.
Let's do it.
Hello, what have we here?
All right, card O the week.
Yeah, so I thought it was really interesting to talk about Into the Garbage Chute, which I totally misspelled in the chat because I can't spell the word shoot to save my life.
Shoot bit. Yep, that's not even close, bro.
Shoot.
Right? And I think
that's what you had in your head.
I think this is a card that folks have. It was an early pass. It was like I am not exhausting one of my characters with 2 dice. But there have been a number of people who have said this is a great one-of in a deck, or this is a great card to play in a 3-character wide deck where you have one kind of sacrificial character that you would never roll a die in.
Okay, I can see that.
And now you're essentially paying 1 resource to get rid of 2 die.
Which is good, could be huge.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about exhausting your character in a way, that's removing 1 of your die to remove 2 of theirs. So you can think about it that way as well. There's a kind of an economy to it that's actually quite amazing.
Well, depending upon what you have too, aren't there a couple cards that allow you to ready someone again? I mean, I know there's not a ton out there, and now that I'm halfway into the sentence, I'm drawing a blank on what the names of those cards are. But I feel like there's at least 1 or 2 that let you
Mandatory 2 of a hero vehicle.
There's just I can't think of the card name, but I feel like there's something that lets you ready a character, and maybe it's ready a support. Maybe I'm thinking wrong. Somebody help me out. I'm drowning clearly.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is there's leadership, which you exhaust a character to ready a character. So I'm not sure that would work in this situation.
No.
What's the other one?
Wait.
Price of
Oh, it
failure.
does say. Never mind. It does say one of your characters. Wait, can I exhaust your character? But no. Wishful thinking.
Yeah,
that would be pretty sweet.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
That'd be way OP.
They probably
though.
charge like, oh man, not for one resource. You're not gonna get that, but
17 resources. But what is Matt Scott, who's in the chat, made a very interesting observation. This is a great card in hero vehicles where you care very less about your characters and way more about your supports.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because then it's I mean, you still once you have a lot of vehicles out, then it's not hurting you as much to not have that character, especially if it's a smaller co-star instead of your headliner.
And this is also a card that we're seeing in a lot of Trilogy decks with the Trilogy version of hero vehicles, because instead of Ezra, they're playing Jar Jar, and who cares?
Yeah, but I'm also looking here that I know, but I'm looking right here, and somebody is mentioning that the reason that they lost at South by Southwest, used with Jar Jar, mitigated 10 damage in the first 2 turns. Oh, that would make me table throw angry.
That's rough. That's super rough.
I have a table throwing bitmoji now that I think I'm going to start using things like that.
I mean, that's why
I would have been so mad.
That's why a card like Easy Pickings is so well loved, because it gets rid of 2 die regardless. But Easy Pickings requires both die to be identical,
which is a little harder. Well, it depends.
Harder.
Like,
I mean, you get it, and people use it for the 2 blanks or 2 specials.
Mm-hmm.
But this card lets you get rid of 2 damage dealing die. You can't get rid of specials, but if you're sitting over there on a 1 and 3 whatever, and it doesn't have to be the same side either, so you can get rid of the ranged and the melee or the indirect, which I think as we talk about Trilogy, we'll see more indirect.
Yeah.
Damage.
Yeah, and that is a good point, though. They're making a good point in the chat too, that using it on Jar Jar, because you're not really losing much, exhausting him, or even Ezra.
Jar Jar is exhausting.
Jar Jar is
it's always gambling.
I'm sorry, buddy.
You're pretty much always gambling with him anyways, so
yeah. So that's a good So it's like that's actually a great way to use him without hurting himself. Like if he's already exhausted, then I don't have to roll his die in.
I could also
deal with his ability.
I could also see it played in a control deck or a mill deck as well, because a lot of the times in those decks, you're not worried so much about using your die size as you are to get resources so you can play cards. And this is a perfect card. You're paying 1 resource, you still have 1 resource to work with, plus any 0 cost mitigation. This would be great for a big blow. You could fend off a lot. This could be potentially you could continue the game 1 or 2 more rounds by playing this card, and that's usually what Mill needs is 1 more round. That's almost always 1 more round with Mill. Yep. So I could definitely see this played in that kind of deck.
That's a great observation, Mike. That is. I know we don't talk about it all that often, but this is I love the art on this card. I love the art on this card. It's just a very shocked Princess Leia as Han's telling her into the chute. I like it.
I'm sorry, I don't want to correct your Star Wars. I'm pretty sure Into the Garbage Chute Flyboy was Leia's line, not Han's.
Oh yeah, well she still looks. I didn't say who. Okay, maybe
she's not surprised. She's yelling. She's
you're probably right. She probably is yelling. Yeah, you're probably
right. He got you.
I take back everything I said.
Sorry, Kim.
Hang on, let me find my Star Wars card. I'll hand it in.
No, you don't have to do that.
But I'm on a verbal warning, right?
Yeah. we have to punch it.
Oh shoot! 1 verbal warning.
I don't have much else to say about this card.
I think it's
I hadn't even given it a look. I'll be honest. I'm with that other group of folks that went nah and went right past this. But I'm gonna have to think twice about it when I build my next deck as soon as I figure out what on God's greener.
neutral hero. It's a good one. There's plenty of those kind of, I don't want to say throwaway heroes, but a lot of these 3 white decks will have a hero that you wouldn't care if you activated or not.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
very cool. Well, Into the Garbage Chute should be a card that every hero player takes a look at. It's a gray neutral and 1 resource cost to play. And as a reminder, exhaust one of your characters to remove up to 2 dice showing damage. So check it out for any standard or trilogy deck right now.
Just don't quote the line wrong when you play it.
I mean, you can say the line, just make sure you're using it in a Princess Leia scolding voice and not a Han Solo, I'm a BA voice, because
that's what he is.
Right. Well, I'm not at that moment, he wasn't. All right, let's give something away.
Moving on.
Look, I ain't in this for your revolution, and I'm not in it for you, Princess. I expect to be well paid. I'm in it for the money.
All right, Kim, let's give some away.
So last week, Mike, you did a pretty good job filling in for me, buddy.
Did you like that?
Pretty good. Okay, you did an okay job. You don't have an AT-AT, but you did still show. I'm still writing these things. They were a little shorter this week, you guys. A little shorter. You might be letting Mike down. So I'm just saying. So my buddy's back. I think I have more fun playing with this than the people do watching it. But he's a little. There we go. All right. Ooh. All right. So last week I was like, wait, I guess I should tell you what we asked you last week. Way of the Force will feature the first battlefield with a die. And so what do you think this battlefield will do? And would you like to see more like it? And we're going to give you one of those slick-looking hollow foil fan alt cards.
Oh, they're so nice. Who is it?
Ketsu! God, I almost did it again. I was like...
Like a deer in headlights. I don't know.
I was like, oh God, I'm going to get 2 stamps in my card in a matter of minutes. Shite. So yeah, those are pretty slick looking. I'm not going to lie. So maybe if Jason's really nice, he'll feel bad for me and send me one in the mail too. All right. He won't. Yeah, Mike, she could have said no. That's exactly true. All right, here we go. This is not a big answer. Sorry, Mike.
Oh
my gosh. So I'm going to have to... Blake Whitaker might be one of the luckiest people on our Facebook
He won
chat.
again?
I'm going to... It's not loaded. I swear there's more things in here. You guys can see them.
Blake's out.
All right, Blake. Congrats, buddy. But Blake said, I think it'll be Death Star Reactor. Probably have a few blanks and some indirect damage sides on it for the controller to use. So, I've seen several Canto Bite predictions. My husband predicted a Canto Bite die. I think that would be thematically fun.
Hey.
What?
Blake, draw another one.
If we're gonna draw, I just put him back in there. Watch me pull him again.
Yeah,
we gotta have a different winner.
Give it to somebody else.
A new rule: you cannot win 2 weeks in a row.
Well, no,
this was.
Did you pull another Blake?
No.
Oh.
Okay. All right, here's a new one.
All right.
Craig Matthews. Let's see. You guys can't see that.
That's pretty long.
Well, it's because I wrote it long. So, oh God, I'm going to get another stamp in my card. Is it the Sarlacc pit? Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Good job.
I was real scared, guys. I thought that was it. I thought I was out of the club. Wait a minute. AT wound up. Okay. So, it's going to be the pit. So it looks like 1 melee, 1 imp. So I'm guessing melee. So 3 melees, 1 each. 1 discard, 1 disrupt, and 1 special. And the special would read, place an opponent's die on this battlefield until they control. That's fun.
So you can escape the Sarlacc pit. You don't just get eaten.
That's pretty fun.
That should be fun.
I'm gonna spin off on that. That'd be kind of cool if they did it and you had like 2 sides that were special and 4 sides that were blank. And if you hit the special, then you could hold a die or something like that.
That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, That'd be interesting. That'd be really cool. I think you should have the platform.
Ooh.
That might be kind of cool. The old party barge up there.
The party barge.
First off, both Bake Whitaker and Craig Matthews shoot us a message on our Facebook page. We'll get those hollow foil
Double
winners.
Ketsu Onyos to you. The other thing, before we leave the subject of Battlefield and go into this week's question, well, actually two things. One, is it weird that you're going to bring a Battlefield with a die to the table and your opponent's going to be able to roll it?
Let me tell you from experience, that die will go home with somebody.
Well, I think it's interesting.
We'll go home with the wrong person.
We have a culture of don't touch the other person's die as a general rule.
Right.
So
that's why stuff don't touch my stuff.
So it's just interesting.
Well, I guess it's chilling over there on the battlefield, so it's not that much different than them taking it and moving it towards them or towards me if I claim.
Well, I mean, if your opponent claims, so do they get to roll the die? Do they get to roll your die? Are they
going
to touch your die?
We don't know what the die says yet.
When you roll the die, do you have to resolve it? But you've already claimed, so what does that mean?
I don't know. You weren't an only child.
I have so many questions.
I was an only child. I'm the one that should people touching my stuff more than you.
Once you roll in, I think it's in your pool type thing.
I think so too.
And when it exits the pool, it goes to the battlefield.
It's gonna be a hard die to keep.
I bet they're gonna be there's gonna be at least one that's something like Lure of Power, where it's just a modifier +1 +1 +1 down the side. Because once it's in your pool until it's resolved. Then if it hits the battlefield.
There were some great ideas on it over on Facebook. If you didn't see that question, there were some really cool ideas.
We'll see this Battlefield soon enough, I'm sure. But for everyone else, it's another week and another question. With Trilogy rising in popularity at Galactic Qualifiers and local events, what decks are you thinking about trying and why? And this week we're going to give away a playset of the Guard promos from a recent tournament kit. So if you haven't gotten one of these, you get 2, so you can put them in your deck.
Those are nice.
Still very relevant. Still very relevant card.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think so. Yeah. Is that the one that's in Airbish though?
No, it's in English.
No,
okay. I feel like I have one that I only played a little, and then when I play it, I'm like, crap, I can't actually remember what that card does. I ran into that a couple times. That's why I'm okay with some of these promos being in English, because sometimes I'm not like Jason and can read both languages.
All right, let's just get to the show topic. I just can't anymore.
All right. Want to get notifications when your favorite game is released, goes on sale, or changes price? This is a great feature you can find over at Miniature Market. They have an extensive selection of games, game supplies, and of course, Star Wars Destiny. With any item, you can get notifications when the item is in stock, drops in price, and much, much more. And of course, you can purchase singles, booster packs, and booster boxes, all from the comfort of your computer or mobile device. Their rewards program gives points to repeat customers to use towards discounts on future purchases. Miniature Market also has an extensive buyback program, and will even increase the value of your cards by up to 30% if you choose to receive store credit. And don't forget free shipping on orders over $99. Miniature Market, a proud sponsor of the Chance Cube. All right, show topic for this week.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about Trilogy. It's a format I think that people are now focusing on a little bit more, with some more Galactic Qualifiers coming out that have the Trilogy format in it. There is a ton of interesting possibilities, I think, and I also believe that Trilogy does something to the game that Standard does not. So I want to talk a little bit about all those things. First off, I mean, in general, Trilogy, what is it? How does it change the game from a play perspective, aside from allowing newer players to get involved because they don't have to find those Awakenings packs?
That's fair.
So let's first give the definition defined by Fantasy Flight. They say Trilogy format is fluid and accessible to new players. It consists of only the latest cycle and all products associated with an unreleased cycle.
Yeah, so Trilogy decks would currently consist of Legacies and the 2-player starter set. And of course, the Trilogy's block is white boxes, and I'm assuming that every different block will come with a different colored box. That seems the most logical way to keep track of it all for those of us who are more visually
So what about the new what about the new hero and villain starters?
Yeah, absolutely. The ones from the Legacies box as well.
So it's interesting. Yeah, I got mine right there. Oh, behind the coolest piece of equipment ever. I'll show that later. I'll show you what that is later. But yes, those boxes. It doesn't say it on the holocron. It does not mention those two boxes. So for everybody who does not know, that is also part of Trilogy.
For sure. Yeah, I think they're officially considered part of the Legacy set, but you weren't thinking about it, then that's something to...
Rivals counts on that as well, but Rivals is not part of...
Well, Rivals is part of it as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
white box. Yeah, anything white box.
If it has a white box.
So white box is Trilogy.
And some of those two-player sets have been on clearance at Target, just heads up.
So what do you guys think, in general, how do you feel like Trilogy is going to change the game, or how do you feel like a Trilogy game is going to be different from a standard game?
I think you'll see more changes with the events. I mean, some of us have those old staples that we just tend... Electroshock is one that we put in a lot of decks. And so now you have to go seek out something that could be comparable. And I'm speaking from somebody who has been involved in multiple sets. I think that's where it's different. A lot of those staples that you're used to putting in there and playing may not be legal. And now you need to... And I think that's good because then it gives you an opportunity to go uncover maybe cards that you didn't pay as much attention to before because you already had a card in your deck that did something similar.
For sure.
For me, I think Trilogy is like somewhat of a proving ground. You're going to see a lot of really new and innovative deck building going on with almost none of the old parts that you're used to. When that's in particular right when the next set drop or next cycle drops. But during that time, that Trilogy format time, you're going to see a ton of changing, I think, all the way up to the very end. It's going to be a lot of innovative deck building going on. So I'm excited for this format. I think it is good for any new player coming in. It's going to help bring people into the community and into local metas. But once you have those cards, you don't, especially when you've been building on them for, a quarter or half a year or whatever, it's tough to drop that instead of just continuing to build on it. And using all those cards you have. Like, I have a lot of cards right now and dice that are not available in that format. So if I want to play in that format, I have to constantly be buying the new set and buying everything. Because you're going to need access to everything all the time. So it has its perks for sure, but it also is kind of it has its downsides for a lot of players that have been playing a lot.
That's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point. Because I have a full Awakening set. I have a full Spirit of Rebellion set. I don't have a full Legacy set.
Same.
Like, I just haven't gotten there with it for a multitude of different reasons. But that's a great point because, pretty soon those cards I have all of aren't going to do me a whole lot of good.
No. Well, you'll still be able to play it. Well, for a little while, you'll be able to play them in two formats, and then pretty soon it's going to be dropped to a single format.
And then they're going to go on my bicycle spokes.
I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, man.
That'd be interesting.
Maybe not Vader. I'll put him on the top.
It'll be interesting to see how Infinite, if that catches on or not. Once
I haven't had any. Well, we're not there yet, I guess, for that to really be making any kind of scene.
I mean, Standard and Infinite are the same thing right now, so
so maybe that's something that you'll see grow more by somebody who loved Awakenings and in it and wants to continue. I think there'll definitely be some play of it, but it's nice for new players to have that option to be able to be competitive with just the new set.
For sure,
you're gonna see some crazy stuff in that set.
I think,
and that's cool.
Sorry, Jason.
That's all right. Thank you. I think people are going to be, like you said, looking for those events that are similar to what they're used to. Anybody who's been playing for a while, I think, is starting from a place that they are familiar with and trying to adapt. And I think newer players are getting a little more creative with their deck building. And it is finding those events that are similar but not. It's finding those characters that are similar but not, that fulfill a similar role to a deck we're familiar with, or can you build something completely new, a different archetype altogether? So we've got 3 decks here. These are examples of some of the decks that were at the very top table of the recent Galactic Qualifier Trilogy Edition, mostly piloted by either folks over the Artificery crew or a couple of really top players over in the Austin area. So the first one we're going to look at, you see up here on the table if you're watching this live or on video, is the new version of a Hero Vehicles deck. Without Ezra, they've replaced it with Jar Jar. From a point cost, makes a lot of sense. What's really interesting to me to see this deck being successful is that I believe the old Hero Vehicles deck really was successful with the use of Tech Team, which was an Empire War card, which allowed you to drop supports down for 1 cheaper. And you don't have access to that, so you're looking at a deck full of vehicles that are under 3 cost apiece. They're all affordable.
Okay.
So instead of playing the Millennium Falcons and the Millennium Falcons and the other expensive vehicles like Millennium Falcon, you're playing like Resistance Bomber, you're playing Mortar Team, the Hawk 290,
That's
Fang
a great
Fighter
card.
Yeah, these are great vehicles that are 3 or less, and then all your events are either control or they are resource enablers, trying to get more money out in the field to afford these guys.
Okay.
And
that's
then
a deck that plays. I think I could play well.
yeah, it's interesting that I don't know how much the character pairings. It'll be interesting. We've got videos of a lot of these matches from that Galactic Qualifier. I'll be making the YouTube airwaves over the next month or 2 as we get them edited up for you guys. This is one of those decks that you'll see played, and I think it's really quite an interesting take on that deck. It is very different. It feels the same, but it is, I think, very different.
I watched one of the matchups over the weekend. I think it was this deck playing an R2P2, I think it was. And I caught the stream late, and it was toward the end of the game already, and he probably had 6 or 8 supports out. He had his 4 characters on the top, or 3 characters on the top, and then just a giant row below of just all these supports and just all tapped in and tons of dice in the pool. It was crazy to watch him pick it apart. It was it looked like a deck that was something to something to look at, something to definitely be worried about.
Those hero those vehicle decks, like you said, if there's that many supports down, how do I still going after the characters? I can't go after the supports. I mean, there's not very many cards that let me get rid of a support.
Right.
So yeah, that's one. If you're preparing, you better start preparing to understand how to go up against a hero vehicle deck for sure.
Yeah, and it's not only going up against these decks, but realizing what are your options and what are you playing against. Because a lot of us who have played Standard for a long time know what challenges we're going to face, and those challenges may not exist in Trilogy. You may not have to worry. You'll have to worry about things like easy pickings. You'll have to worry about into the garbage chute, but you won't have to worry about electroshock. You won't have to worry about
salvage stand.
Those types of cards that could potentially be your enemy. One thing interesting here is the use of Well Connected in this particular deck, which is a yellow event for the heroes that costs 0. Spot a yellow character to gain 1 resource, and each opponent may draw a card, which is an interesting way to get more stuff in your hands. And you only gain a resource. A lot of people use Truce nowadays.
Yeah.
Both players gain a resource, you get an extra turn. But Well Connected is also a great way to get some money. And then Refit, which is kind of replaces Tech Team in these decks. Refit is the red hero event that costs 0. Play a vehicle from your hand, decreasing its cost by 1, then place 1 damage on it. So you've got that whole like damaging vehicle situation. So you've got to be very careful which vehicle you're putting down to make sure that damage is not going to hurt it.
Right.
But what do you think about Jar Jar being in this deck? You think it's point cost only? Make sure. I mean, you got to get the yellow because I think easy pickings and Well Connected and bartering, which is a great upgrade to get some money. The only reason Jar Jar is in here, and do you think Jar Jar itself is going to add some value based on his clumsy ability?
And that's what I'm curious about, because Ezra steals resources.
Yeah, Ezra was the moneymaker for this deck in the past. So,
but does Jar Jar have more health?
He only has 7.
So no.
Yeah.
Huh.
Maybe it's for his clumsy ability that anybody can take the action to activate that character. Honestly, I don't know. Yeah. It's got to be point cost and access to yellow. That's got to be
because you definitely want yellow in this. I can't imagine it flying without it.
Yeah, I mean,
what I did there.
Trilogy games have to have easy pickings for the heroes. I think that's a very required card from a removal standpoint, and you need that yellow character to make sure you have access to it.
Also, his ability kind of sets you up for what you need. Maybe you roll his dice in and you hit a resource and a shield side.
That's true.
And then all your other stuff is showing like a melee and a discard or something. You want to roll him up into a resource or a shield. So his ability might actually help you if you're looking for those dice sides.
I
don't know.
For sure.
Something to consider. I think.
So if you're looking to build
Jar Jar, I'm not doing
this is, I think, a great example of taking an existing meta deck from standard and adapting it to a trilogy and dealing with those challenges, right?
True.
You got to change out the Ezra for Jar Jar. What are your challenges? Well, you're not making as much money because you don't have cards like Truce. You don't have cards like Tech Team to make things cheaper. So how do you deal with that? Make cheaper vehicles and try to find some events that get you some money. And so it's all kind of getting that decision tree to help you get to that point. Or are you starting from scratch? There's less characters to choose from, so maybe it's easier to. You can go either way.
Yeah, I'm just reading in the chat right now. Fallen 85 says, from my experience playing at South by Southwest, Jar Jar was for Into the Garbage Chute, or for ability if you God rolled. So, definitely, it's for that. It's for the access to yellow. One to the Garbage Chute is gray.
Yeah.
Well, so you can exhaust him.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's the
which makes sense.
Yeah.
Then you're not exhausting one of your more powerful characters.
Sacrificial lamb for
right.
Yeah, that's right. Sacrificial lamb.
That's one way to get around Jar Jar.
All right, another deck that made the top of the trilogy format is which one are we going to, Mike?
Let's do the Greedos, girl.
Greedos.
So the Artificer team has nicknamed this deck Greedos Girls, which is
that's hilarious.
Elite Captain Phasma from the 2-player set, and then single die Mother Talzin, single die Greedo. And I think we see Greedo a lot more in trilogy decks because he's again a low-cost yellow character, gives you access to yellow on the villain side, and in a way, he's kind of a watered-down Balatik.
Yeah.
When he dies, you can roll out.
He's not terrible.
So he's not. People would choose Bala over him in a standard meta.
Yeah.
Because Bala can get some better. When another character dies, he can ready and reactivate. But Greedo reads, before this character is defeated, roll any number of his character die into your pool, then resolve any number of his character die in the order of your choice. Now, that means with a 1-die Greedo, you're just basically getting an extra roll and whatever it hits you get. And with 2 blanks, it's kind of rough. So interesting that he's a legendary. But
that was surprising. I agree.
At a 7-point cost, he fits into decks like this, where you've got a 9-point Mother Talzin and then a 14-point Elite Captain Phasma from the 2-player set. And I think this is an interesting set. It almost feels like an adaptation of the villains, the 5-die villain decks.
Mm-hmm.
You've got it's a rainbow. You've got a red, blue, and yellow character pairing. It's not 5 dice, but Mother Talzin, I think, adds that stability that you have to have.
No, and like we talked, like her ability is so good.
Yeah, it is. I'll read it real quick. After you activate this character, you may reveal the top card of a player's deck. If its cost is an odd number, turn one of that player's die to any side. So it's great control.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, and it in the other kind of the other side is if someone is really teching against this, they're gonna put a lot of even number stuff in their deck.
Right.
And that's gonna, that's almost knocking down half of their card selection. So it's control even before you hit the table.
Nice.
For sure.
Kind of like with Kylo, he made it so that you needed to play a diversified deck or start throwing some gray in your monocolors to get away from that damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like the way this particular build is done is a little more of using tactical mastery to get some extra actions, some removal, and then trying to get some money. So using logistics to get some money to afford the upgrades, such as Captain Phasma's blaster, the Canto Bite pistol, and Dark Council's even in here, which is interesting. I think that's maybe from a focus standpoint,
maybe,
or to upgrade from. I get those early focuses and then replace it.
I don't see that card getting a lot of love.
Right.
Other places. I haven't seen it anyway.
And even hunting rifle, you got a 1-cost weapon that's got a 1 and a 2 for 1, and a resource side. I mean, that's a great cheap weapon to get out early. Yeah. So I think this deck is more about the power and the aggro, and then adding that control that Mother Talzin brings.
Interesting.
So. Very much like, I think, where we were going with the 5-die villain, but you don't have the redeploy weapons that deck kind of relied on. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see if this one continues to bubble up to the top of these trilogy games. Bubble Shield is a support that I think is going to be really important in the trilogy meta. Because I think indirect damage is going to be more popular.
Yeah, but it is in draft too.
For sure.
Oh, it's nasty in draft. I've seen it hit in draft, and it does a lot of work.
For sure. And then, of course, last but not least, another 3-wide character deck.
Yeah, funny enough, they're all 3-wide. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's becoming more popular. I mean, not that it hasn't been. We've always seen there's always been 3-wide decks out there, but I feel like them rising to the top, it seems a little more frequent now than maybe...
In standard, it seems there's a couple 3-wide that are popular, mostly 2. Here, Trilogy, it seems to be a 3-wide is the more popular, with the exception that the dreaded R2P2 has made it to the top of these events still.
Yeah, I am so surprised to see that deck.
That just won't die, man.
That deck is still in gauntlets. I mean, Artificer talked about it, that you should be putting R2P2 in your gauntlet, and it's still a deck to be reckoned with.
Yeah, absolutely. So last but not least, we got Mother Talzin and 2 veteran stormtroopers, which is really interesting. I guess from a cost perspective, the veteran troopers, are at 9 points, so 9 is 18, and that pairs up well with the 12-point elite Mother Talzin. You get blue and red, and it really feels like this is very much an indirect damage deck. How much indirect damage can you get out?
Yeah.
As possible. Flip to those 3 indirect sides that the veteran troopers have with Mother Talzin's ability. Use her focus to do that as well, and then adding in Fragmentation Grenade, which is perhaps my favorite upgrade ever. The one cost weapon that has a 1 indirect, 1 indirect, 1 indirect, 2 indirect, 3 indirect, and a blank. But you have to spend a resource to make it not disappear after you resolve the die. So,
yeah, that can get a bit costly, but I think
especially if you don't have a lot of resource generators.
Yeah. And this deck doesn't.
No. But armored support.
I feel like that would.
Armored support is a really great support. Cost 1. Exhaust this support to reroll one of your red dice. If that die rolls damage, deal 1 damage to a character, and that just stays out there. It's almost like the trilogy version of backup muscle.
Yeah.
Kim is in the middle because she's on notice. That's why we got her there, so we can watch her from both. We can watch her from both angles.
It's been a rough show. I'm gonna take my Star Wars card.
Sorry for those who are listening afterwards. Our troll has just entered the chat.
Sorry. We're appeasing the troll.
Bloomer.
And it's asked why is Kim in the middle of our video, so...
I just wanted, hey, at least he noticed. I mean, because he's the only one that's mentioned it.
I know. All right, okay. Back to this deck. This is a deck that I look most forward to playing in this format. Yeah, I think this will be a fun deck to get out. I worry that it's a little slow, and like a lot of people have said in the chat, it's tough against hero vehicle decks. So to me that means that it's slow. Because I think that's the key to beating those hero decks is being fast. That worries me about this. So if there's a way to speed it up, then I'm definitely going to figure it out. I might start with again, we're gonna reference the Hyperloops again.
Thanks, buddies.
Yeah, I might start with something close to what they built and kind of work through that. But I would like to see this deck do well. And I will definitely be playing it around town.
I do think that action cheating is not in Trilogy. There's very little of that, if any. You don't have to worry about your Sabines. You don't have to worry about your Awakening's Rays. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And there's not as much ambush either.
Right.
So how do you...
there really isn't.
How do you speed things up? The only thing is that Trilogy card that lets you take 3 actions, but it's very expensive. I think it's 3 resources to play.
Yeah.
So, you know what I don't see in that deck list is Tactical Mastery.
Is there one in the 2-player set?
I could have swore we just referenced it in the Phasma Mother Talzin Greedo deck.
Yeah.
That's old school. That's old school action cheating.
Yeah,
that's the
and
first
that got
one.
Reprinted.
Yeah,
and got reprinted in the 2-player set, so it is.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Back in the day when me and Matt used to play on Skype, this is a long time ago, back in the very first set, he hated Tactical Mastery so much because he was still pretty much only playing hero, and I was only playing villain, and he hated seeing that card come out.
I was not a fan of it either. Yeah.
I like that card a lot. It was fun. He always beat me, but when I got to play that card, he got a little upset.
That's funny.
For sure. I mean, I think you're right, and I'm wondering, is this deck reminiscent of anything in the standard meta, or is this really the first of its kind?
Mm-hmm. Didn't we have Phasma Trooper for a while, but it didn't play the same. I don't think it was.
It didn't. I think Phasma Trooper was very much a hardcore aggro deck, and use those troopers for the guardian ability, just keep Phasma alive. This is more about using Mother Talzin to make the veteran stormtroopers your attack dogs.
Yes, that is exactly what it's for.
Yeah, I like that.
She will get gunned down first, though, every time, and then you're going to be left with 2 single veteran die that I think are going to get mitigated very easily and controlled very easily, and then you're just going to be sitting on armored support and bubble shield.
Woo!
So,
yeah.
I'll be interested to see a little bit more how this deck plays.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this is this perhaps out of all these decks that have made the top, this is the first of the Trilogy decks that is original. It was built within the Trilogy mindset. Mm-hmm. Instead of trying to not to say the other decks started as an adaptation, but that's just what they morphed into. This is definitely something I think that is very uniquely Trilogy and would not work in the standard meta because there's too many ways to kind of get rid of these 9 health characters quickly. Mm-hmm. And
now there is. Like back in the day, you couldn't knock out a 9-point character in one shot. Now you can. And
I definitely think the indirect damage is going to be the secret sauce for Trilogy.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't know that I love indirect damage yet, and maybe it's because I don't know. I think it's just the way my mind, I don't like not being able to pick where it goes.
It makes shields a lot stronger. Because then you just indirect it straight to the shields.
But where are the shields in Trilogy? Mm-hmm. There's no Shoto Sabers. There's no Qui-Gons. Shields.
Obi
There's
has
Yoda.
shield.
Yoda is the big shield generator.
Doesn't Obi have some shield love?
Ray's got a little bit of shield love.
So there's some shield stuff in the 2-player set.
Mm-hmm.
Not much though.
not
It's
saying
definitely like
not-
it was.
yeah.
No.
Not
I'm
like
just
yeah.
saying it's not going to be abused.
Yeah, true. I
Not
agree.
agree.
not to the
Mechanic.
effect that
So as we kind of wrap up the idea of Trilogy talk and Trilogy deck building, how do you think Trilogy is going to be the I guess testing ground for the next standard?
What's that? Okay, we'll repeat that one more time. I was listening,
Trilogy.
but I
Very
didn't
proud of that
understand the question.
How is Trilogy going to be the proving ground or the testing ground for the next standard meta?
You gotta make the face again. There you go. I'm not doing it. I don't know.
So when standard rotates, it'll be Trilogy plus the new set.
Yeah.
Right. I think once that new set drops, everything from Trilogy is going to change almost instantly. Throwing a whole, especially coming from a whole new group of cards, a whole new set, it's going to be a whole new focus. So you take that whole new focus and throw it into something old, you're going to have like a whole new brew, basically a whole new meta. So that face
But
is ridiculous.
I see what you're getting at though, Jason, is that if I'm play testing a lot of stuff now, then I'm getting an idea of what works well together for later. When I can't go backwards and pull out some of those cards from, I see where you're going with that.
Yeah. So, and
then mix in more of the good stuff that comes in the next.
It will be interesting to see if every block of
You're getting warned.
I don't know. I think that I hadn't even thought about Trilogy that way.
I think it's definitely going to put you kind of in the mindset to head down to standard. Almost like when a new player comes in, they're going to hit Trilogy, and then they're going to move into standard, and then either they make that jump back to Trilogy, or they continue to go and they get all the way into the largest format where you have access to everything. So, infinite, right?
Yeah,
Right.
Infinite.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Infinite.
and it'll be interesting to see from a design standpoint, is every block going to have some sort of major game-changing mechanic in it?
Yeah.
So
That's
what
true.
even matter? Like, you could do Trilogy, and all of a sudden, the next set comes out, Trilogy is now part of the new standard, and the old Trilogy is now part of Infinite, and math is hard, people.
Oh, stop!
Whoa.
You're hurting me.
I need to make a flow chart for next week so we can follow this.
It is. You're not kidding though. It's like, well, then that becomes this, and then this becomes over here, and then you're doing the scarecrow thing.
And you work down the tree until you don't like that format, and then you go all the way back to the top again.
I'm gonna go draft. Look at it, I'm done.
Yeah, there you go, in the draft leg.
All
Because
right,
that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
for sure. All right, well, hopefully...
Nice question, Jason. I liked that. That was
Thank you. I tried to be-
thought-provoking.
That
A little
was good.
It
I
was
liked it.
deep.
That was
So if you're heading to a Trilogy event, I think the first step to deck building is find that standard deck you really love and see how it can fit into Trilogy. Certain archetypes will work, certain will not. As we've seen here, the hero vehicle archetype works with adaptation. So does that kind of villain control version. And there's plenty of decks that, I think Tarkin Afra is going to certainly have some staying power in Trilogy. And and then ask your local store to throw a Trilogy event. I've seen a lot of local stores bringing Trilogy into their weekly Destiny mix. And it could be good for new players who have just got into the game to have a competitive event they can feel successful at because they're not having to face those electroshocks.
Yeah. My local store talked about doing more Trilogy at launch events. We haven't had a Trilogy format to play yet. And I think a lot of it is a lot of the hub groups still working for regionals. There's still one local-ish that I think that they're working on. So that's maybe once we're back to a more casual setting, we might see some more mix-up in the nights.
And I do think Trilogy is considered more of a casual format. It doesn't have to be, and obviously the Galactic Qualifiers made it competitive. But
Which is interesting. Yeah.
It's not the format that will be used for those regional and national level events and the worlds, but it is a format that will probably accompany a lot of those events going forward.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Cool. All right. So if you want more information about Trilogy, I know the Hyperloops just released a Trilogy Gauntlet that was very early on. I'm sure we'll continue to adapt if you want to see some examples of some Trilogy decks. But I just say find a deck you like in Standard and try to adapt it for Trilogy, see if it works, except for Elite Palpatine.
And then just go crazy with some ideas.
Go crazy, yeah.
Just
less
go
character
crazy.
pairings to worry about.
I mean,
so
what's that gonna hurt you? I mean, at the end of the day,
time,
you may get that one leg up on you. You'll be 2 steps ahead of everybody else.
for sure.
Hey, before we go,
Or behind.
before we go into listeners' questions, I would like to say that a couple of people in the chat have said that Yoda and Zeb are also a good starting place for Trilogy.
I would agree. I
And
would
the-
agree on that for sure.
I mean, if you can get your hands on 2 Yodas, then definitely.
one.
For sure.
I have 0 still. I have
Ooh.
I have my Zebs though.
See, and Zebs I don't have. So together, Mike, we might be able to make this deck. We'll have to now you take a turn and I'll take a turn.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's go over to some listeners' questions.
Woo!
There can be no mistakes this time.
All right, first question we have. What do you think is currently the most underplayed card in Destiny and why?
I feel like we've been quizzed on this.
I think Joe's asking us the same questions every week just to mess with us.
Okay, this is more probably a personal favorite that I think should see more play, is Awakenings from Awakenings, and it's a support card that lets you resolve modified die as if they were not modified.
Mm.
And it's like 1 cost, if I remember correctly. Could be
Kim,
true.
I think you like that card.
I love this card, and I don't understand why it doesn't get more play, because as many different upgrades and modified size and stuff like that you see, and I've kicked myself going, well, gee, Kim, if you just put that card in there, you could resolve this die right now. And I hadn't, and I just think that I'm going to be sad when it's gone.
Yeah, I think a card I would love to see played more is the Hail Mary card. That's like you lose, but you're ready.
Oh, is it Final
Final
Moment?
Moments, yes.
That came up in draft. That was pretty funny.
I want to see more Final Moments. Mike?
I don't know. I can't think of a card that's coming to mind that I want to see more played that's underplayed. Bait and Switch used to be definitely underplayed, and now it gets a ton of play. I love that card. That's a good card. I hope we get to see more Tactical Mastery. That card got some play, but it never got a lot of play, and I think that's going to be your only source for action cheating, like we talked about. So I think we'll definitely see some more play there.
For sure.
That's fair.
Next question. Do you prefer this time of Destiny, the ultra-competitive regionals, or are you looking for casual Destiny once regionals has passed?
I'm voting casual, but that's just me. I'm a more casual kind of gal. I love seeing the decks win. I like seeing all these cool winning decks, but
right. I like from a chance key perspective. I love this time of the all the competitive stuff going on. From a personal standpoint, I don't know. I guess a little bit of both.
You can't pick both.
I like to play Destiny.
That's it. I like to play Destiny. So
I like to play Destiny.
Since you chose that answer, okay, fine.
Oh, that answer is legal. We'll pick that one.
That answer is legal. I'm treading on thin ice anyway, so I'll let it. I'll approve.
You can't say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Mike? You have an opinion?
Yeah, I really like competitive because it brings out all the events and it brings all the people together. I think it's a really fun time. But I do like the competitive or the just the fun times that you have at like Monday Night Destiny, or you have your buddies over to play some rounds and drink some beers. Like I really enjoy those times, and you get to see a lot more just a lot more thematic decks, a lot more garbage, as people want to call it. But people are trying new things, and sometimes those things work, and sometimes they don't. And it's really fun. I enjoy both. I don't think I have a favorite.
And more props to the leagues out there that encourage that kind of play.
Yes.
Totally agree.
For sure. And last but not least, when do you think FFG is going to release an updated FAQ, and is there a deck in the die because of it? Do you think we have an errata in our near future, or some sort of rules change that will
I think running
something?
interference is on thin ice. I think if any card is going to get some sort of clarification or errata or something, it's going to be running interference, because the chatter just doesn't stop about it. There's a lot of misunderstandings with it. It's a pain in the neck to play against anyway. And I think, I'm not knocking that Sabine deck at all, but I think that's what gives that Sabine deck a lot of its extra power. I'm not saying it could very well still be very competitive without it, but I think that helps give it a boost.
You talk about negative play experience, and I think for what we've seen historically from Fantasy Flight games is that they consider a negative playing experience one that prevents you from doing what the game's designed to do. And there was a lot of talk about the multiple action cheating on Ray early on, which never really got addressed, except, with a card like Cheating, which no one plays because no one has severe action cheating right now.
Yeah, they needed it back when Nines was a thing. That's when they needed cheating.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a very interesting question. I think it's still very healthy out there. I think people have figured out a way around running interference. Maybe running interference would get clarification that would make it easier to rule against in an event. But I don't know if there's anything out there that really needs to be changed, unless they want to. And will they adjust any point costs on cards? I don't think we're at that point yet. I don't feel
that we're. Yeah, I would agree with you, Jason. I don't think we're to a point to adjust points on cards again. I don't think we'll see any of the ones that are on the bad kid list. I don't think we'll see any of that change until after the next, until we rotate out. I don't think we'll see any of that change.
I think we might see something. Just before the next box release, we'll see a Power of the Force change and maybe a running interference clarification. But it's not right now. I don't see any cards that are broken in the system. But again, that might change when we get spoilers for more cards, and they might in combo make something broken.
Yeah,
you made a good point, Jason. You were talking about that negative play experience, and I feel like a card like running interference is an interesting choice to add in because of that. It kind of does freeze you. And stops you from being able to, and it takes away that ebb and flow of the game. It's an interesting addition, given how vocal I think FFG has been about wanting to get the game back to that simple back and forth.
For sure. All right. Well, thanks for all the questions. If you're not watching the show live, you're welcome to email any questions you want us to answer to contact@thechanceCube.com. I'll be happy to answer them on a future show in this segment. Otherwise, you can come join us live every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and we'll answer them live if you ask us. That's what we do. We answer questions because we have opinions, but that's all we have. It's just opinions.
Ask me questions so I have something to talk about.
All right, let's wrap up with a little Star Wars.
All right.
The Jedi! What do you know?
That's weird. I don't know why I went to that slide, but we are looking at Mother Talzin and 2 troopers.
Hey!
Apparently, OBS has a mind of its own right now. We'll just flip those over. There we go.
When I have used OBS, it absolutely has a mind of its own. So I'm with you on that too.
So Star Wars, Kim, you're going to talk about something that I feel like I should have probably been aware of, and I'm only vaguely aware that it's come back.
So Season 2 of Forces of Destiny, this fun little YouTube series. I have recommended it to so many of my friends with kiddos. It's enjoyable as an adult, but I think it is a great entryway for Star Wars for younger kids. But Mark Hamill's going to voice Luke in season 2.
Ooh.
I think that'll be really cool.
I'm glad he's coming into that. That's great.
Are you moving me around? Apparently I'm being bumped around.
Yes, I'm moving people around.
That's awesome. Please continue to mess with Joe's head. So these have been a huge hit. I think this was a really smart move to put this little series like this. I wonder if we'll see it move to Disney's streaming channel once that's the thing. Because right now it's just on YouTube. Shame, but YouTube, anybody can enjoy it. If they put it on their stream service, now I have to pay for their stream service to enjoy it. But so I don't know if that'll change anything. But I don't.
Still got my money.
They're gonna get my money anyway. Who am I?
Sure.
I was looking real quick because I don't know that season 2 is officially there, but they did announce that. I'm looking. I don't see it, but I did see that Mark Hamill is going to. He's been in the news a lot lately, haven't he?
Sure he has.
So he got his star on the Walk of Fame, and he was in Ireland celebrating St. Paddy's Day. Like, Mark's living it up, man.
Is it season 2 or is it season 3?
I think it's season 2. Maybe I'm in...
Depends on how you broke it up. Who really knows?
So I'm looking for some news articles to show, and it's everything.
Yeah, because I don't...
It looks like they're calling it season 3. Yeah.
So maybe it is with that. So maybe I'm behind one. Because it's just very, like, these are very quick little snippets. So they jump seasons on me awfully quick.
3 minutes.
So that'll hold a youngster's attention span if you have a small toddler.
My daughters love them.
I think they're super great. I love them for being able to introduce them to my younger nieces and nephews.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
We're going to start playing.
Yeah, for me, Star Wars has been a little on the slow side. Of course, I work in Atlanta Star Wars, so I guess that can't really make...
Your life's way more exciting than mine will ever be in my 3 stoplight town.
Well...
You work in the happiest place on earth.
The nice thing was that once episode 8 hit digital, everybody in the break room was watching it when they weren't working, so...
That's kind of nice.
I was
I've resisted the urge.
I saw the Praetorian Guard fight scene like 7 times in one day, and that's like the only part. Every time I walked in there, that was on the screen. I was like, and then I went and paused it for our evening meeting one night, and it paused right on the spot where the porg hit the window in the morning.
That's good timing.
That meeting was pretty much useless.
That's like having a meeting with us.
Well, yes.
Yes. Herding cats.
Half this podcast is like a porg stuck to the window.
What about you, Mike?
For me... first off, I want to say what's up to Toby in the chat. How's it going?
What's up, Toby?
Hey, Toby.
What is going... Like, not a whole lot for Star Wars. I have another appointment on Friday to get more work done on my sleeve.
Ooh, so you need to send me pictures of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna, after this next session, I'm probably gonna have him take some pictures of the studio, and
cool.
We'll get that up.
Someday I'll get brave.
And I'm getting super ramped up for Kubla Khan. I'm getting really excited. I'll show you guys now. I have my whole setup.
Your new stuff.
So this is for IRL streaming. It's the microphone and the gimbal all set up, dedicated phone that I'll be running on Wi-Fi, so I can bring you guys all the best coverage live at Kubla Khan. Cool. And at Gen Con too, I'll have this set up. So hopefully I'll be able to bring it into some of the talks, Mikey, or whatever.
If you're going to be that close to me, if you're going to be an hour and a half away from Gen Con, I'm going to have to.
Yeah, drive down.
I usually avoid. I love the idea of Con, the idea of all the people at Gen Con. No offense to all of you, it's just that you're all crammed into one area, really close together. It kind of freaks me out a little bit. But if you're going to be an hour and a half away, I'm going to have to come. So
yeah, you definitely should.
I want to know when the 3 of us are going to be in one place at one time.
I don't know.
There might be a hole might rip in the space-time continuum or something.
It's true.
It's all good. We'll make it happen one day.
Can you imagine how much trouble just Mike and I, without Jason there to keep us in line, our costs?
We don't have to do a show, luckily.
Woohoo!
We'll just be talking to this thing the whole time like this.
I can talk to myself quite well.
That'd
You
be
should see me at the
awesome.
grocery store.
Yeah. It's like, did I get
That's
the
a whole other
eggs?
thing.
Did I not get the eggs? Did I get the... Oh,
I
sorry.
had a conversation
Hold on.
about the mayonnaise the other day. It was.
Hold on. We have a little technical difficulties.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, folks. I set down my gimbal on my stream pad, so we just changed slides. Whoops. That was not very professional.
Lord.
So basically, I've just been getting set up for that.
That's cool, man.
And the move. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing me talk about the move, but
I'm excited about your move. I'm living vicariously through you. My house is 100 years
awesome.
old. I don't have cool stuff here.
You should see. Well, we won't talk about my wife's kitchen right now, but that's it's pretty awesome.
My kitchen is smaller than your desk back there, so yeah, 100-year-old kitchen. They didn't care about cooking.
They didn't care about.
All
them.
right.
Did it
That's
outside
too
over
funny.
a fire.
All right. I'm gonna pull the we're probably done here card. I think we're done here.
You think so?
Yeah. So of course, everyone who's watching live or who has watched live tonight, thanks so much for joining us.
Ooh, I just for
Kim
those
has
of you who
something to
may actually enjoyed the iteration of Kim and Mike, you should consider being a Patreon and come hang out with us on the Patreon, the Chance Cube Hangout. We may even give you an opportunity to name yourself soon, so there's that. And you can come help defend me against Joe in the Hangout.
Yeah, he trolls us there too now, doesn't he?
Yes.
It's
Joe's
pretty
my
awful.
pal.
You're getting trolled. I like getting trolled.
Well,
I like it.
That's very true. So if you're interested in the Patreon, it's patreon.com/thechancecube to join that. It's only $1 a month if you want to join the Hangouts. Pretty sweet. If you are a Twitch Prime user and you have a free sub every month, use it for us, and we'll bring you over to the Hangout, which is not as easy as I thought it was going to be.
It's got its challenges.
But we'll make it happen. We'll get in touch one way or another and get you guys over there.
You get a cool alternate art too, right? Once you're there's all kinds of cool stuff if you're a Patreon, and we maybe make it even cooler. So now's the time. Get in now.
Get in now.
For sure.
While it's still, this is when it's at its coolest.
So we're just gonna say goodbye because this is getting out of control.
Thank you guys.
Have a good night.
I missed you all last week.
We'll see you next week in my new house. Hey,
same bad time.
With a guest. We have a guest next week.
Oh yeah,
We do have a guest next week.
All right.
Guess who it is? No, you guys will never. So
You'll never
come back
guess.
because I'm not gonna tell you who it is.
All right, bye y'all. This has been The Chance Cube, a Star Wars Destiny podcast, a non-profit organization dedicated to building community through gaming. Visit our website for all things Star Wars Destiny, including our price watch, meta tracker, and latest articles from the Chance Cube family. Find our latest videos on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and visit us at patreon.com/thechancecube. Your patronage allows us to grow this program and help us give back to the gaming community by sponsoring events, giveaways, and supporting our own community building initiatives. This is Mike Hill, the voice of the Chance Cube. Thanks for listening. The Chance Cube is not affiliated with Fantasy Flight Games, Lucasfilms, or the Walt Disney Company.